Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Hey, Becca, since you're here, would you mind sharing the presentation for us, please? I just made last minute updates, as you can expect from me. So we'll want to make sure we refresh it. I will send you, let's see. Let me send the link again. Okay, I just sent it to you, Becca, in the in our Google chat. So we are set up for the facilitators to share the presentations, not the presenters. That's what we talked about in our planning meetings. But Carrie, it's okay. Becca can share it. It's all good.
I'm sharing right now.
Thank you. Good morning, Cami.
Can everyone see?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It looks like. Hi, Ariana.
Hi, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay.
A couple more moments for people
Says
to.
it's just us. Has Carrie, is she on here with us yet? I don't see her.
Give Carrie a quick ping.
Well, she's pinging us in the chat. But I don't think she's on the call yet. She has got the link to the YouTube video to share that.
She's getting in right now.
Perfect. Okay. And since it's just us, we will mess with the camera. All right. Good morning, Carrie.
Hi, I'm gonna have to keep my sound off for most of this because they're sanding our house, getting ready to paint.
That's fine.
So let's go back to the first slide. Perfect. And I'd like to thank everyone for joining us this morning for our digital inclusion or week of digital inclusion. Today's presentation will be strengthening community through capacity building. My name is Stefan Miner, Senior Program Manager with Community Tech Network, and I'll be presenting with Sky Downing, our Digital Equity Programs and Partnership Director. Again, thank you all for attending, and let's go to the next slide. Again, my name is Stefan Miner, also go by Steph, and I've been with CTN for roughly 3 years now, and it has been a phenomenal experience in getting people online and connected. It's definitely a life calling for sure. I'll pass it over to Sky.
Hi, my name is Sky Downing. I am the Digital Equity Programs and Partnership Director here at CTN. I've been working in nonprofit for well over 20 years of my life, and about 10 of those in adult education and community-based education programming.
And before we continue, we did create a poll so we could better learn more about you and the agency that you're supporting as well. If we can share the poll, helping us better. There we go. So you'll have 4 questions to respond to. Would you let us learn how you've advocated for digital equity and digital inclusion for less than 5 years? And if you are specifically involved in digital inclusivity education and training. Also, if your agency distributes digital devices like iPads, tablets, even smartphones to your supported community members, as well as if your agency supports clients with low-cost internet connectivity assistance services, as well as the Affordable Connectivity Program application. So we'll just give about, let's say, 2 minutes for folks to respond. Questions are, wow, you guys are really quick. So we'll end in about 1 minute. And for those of you who just entered, you should have a poll on your screen. If you can respond to the following questions, you'll let us know, or you'll inform us of how your agency supports your target community members with digital inclusive services. That's quite all right, Jessica. Okay, 15-minute mark, or 15-second mark, excuse me. Okay. Poll is ending. So for those who have responded, and thank you for doing so, looks like, wow, 75% of today's attendees have been supporting digital equity and inclusion for less than 5 years. Welcome to the team, myself included. And for those who are involved specifically in digital inclusive education and training, I see 63%, or 5 out of 8 attendees responded yes. And if your agency supports the distribution of digital devices like iPads, tablets, laptops, it looks like 3 out of 8 attendees and 38% said yes, but the majority said no. And lastly, if your agency supports clients with low-cost internet and affordable connectivity application assistance, 88% said yes. Perfect. Getting people online and connected is a tremendous task, and I'm glad that you were able to accomplish that. And 13% said no. Hopefully we can change that going forward. Okay, poll has ended, and let's continue. Can we go to the next slide, please? So, Community Tech Network, we've been around since 2008. This year, 2023, is our 15-year anniversary. Thank you all for supporting Community Tech Network as we continue to expand digitally inclusive services throughout the state and hopefully soon abroad as well. We work entirely in partnership with social justice providers, nonprofits, and government agencies, and we provide basic and low intermediate level training and devices to low-income adults of all ages. And we also have curriculum based in multiple languages to make sure that we're able to optimally support multiple and diverse communities. And we partner with agencies throughout California, Texas, New Jersey, New York, and we are currently always expanding. And of course, our mission is to transform lives through digital equity. I personally always say digital equity is inclusivity and social justice paired. Continue. Next slide. So today we'll cover some key definitions regarding the digital divide, digital inclusion, and digital equity. Sky will talk about mapping inequities and incorporating trauma healing practices into your work. We'll also explain our direct services provided by the Department of Disability and Aging Services, which funds our SF Connected and Digital Connections programs, as well as our capacity building initiative, Digital Lift. And we'll also have a special testimonial from our fellow community partner at Puente, and we'll have time for question and answers afterward. Next slide.
All right, so let's go ahead and dive in and get started here. We want to talk about the digital divide, and we have an understanding that there is no one digital divide. At a very high level, the digital divide is defined as the gap between those who have and those who do not have access to computers and the internet. But we know that the digital divide is multifaceted, and it includes many factors such as access, affordability, quality, and relevance. When we talk about relevance, we're speaking to how this affects people's daily living. And we know that the digital divide leads to gaps in health equity, academic empowerment, workforce equity, and social engagement for health purposes, i.e. the reduction of isolation, particularly as it pertains to our aging community members. So in fact, the digital divide is the gap between those who have affordable access to internet and devices, digital skills, and the support needed to safely and effectively engage in online activities, and those who do not. As technology constantly evolves and the digital divide grows, it is preventing equal participation and opportunity in all parts of life, disproportionately affecting people of color, Indigenous peoples, low-income households, rural communities, people with disabilities, and older adults. As an example, we would like to share this video with you provided by Soul Pancake and the 1 Million Project, which displays the outcomes of what we call the homework gap, or how the digital divide impacts our children and their ability to achieve academic success. Let's make sure we have sound.
So let me know if you can hear.
Not as yet.
Okay, so I apologize, everyone. I think I have to set this up so that you can hear sound. I might have to stop my share for just a second.
I'm sorry, I had mine queued up.
Oh,
Carrie.
okay, go ahead, Carrie. Actually, go ahead. Thank you.
And welcome to the folks who have jumped on. It's wonderful to see you this morning. Thank you for joining us for our first session, Strengthening Communities Through Capacity Building. Okay, we still have no sound.
Looks like we still have to restart the video or restart the session by sharing the sound of the audio at the same time.
Okay. If we're having technical difficulties with the video, we can move on and come back to the video in a little bit. So happens to the best of us, even the practitioners out doing the work. So Steph, would you like to go ahead and move into how we define digital inclusion?
Sure can, thank you. And let's go to the next slide and we'll discuss and talk about the tools or the pillars of digital inclusivity. Now, when advocating for digital inclusive services, it's important to recognize 4 key areas to ensure that people can get online and connected optimally. In order to get connected online, in order to access essential resources and services online, you'll need one, of course, internet access. This has definitely been one of the most important tasks that our agency has committed to, making sure that people understand the intricacies of low-cost internet services, as well as the Affordable Connectivity Program. The Affordable Connectivity Program is a low-cost internet, it's pretty much a digital coupon, if you will. It takes $30 a month off of your internet subscription, and for $75 if you're located on tribal lands. After internet access, we always make sure that people have an internet capable device. By internet capable, we are talking about laptops, iPads, tablets. Smartphones are internet capable. However, when we're supporting older adults and persons with disabilities, it's best to have a device that is large with a large screen in order for people to actually view the contents that they're trying to research. We also provide digital skills training. That's very important to make sure that people not only understand how to operate their digital device, but also navigate the internet safely. Also, it's important to recognize that tech support is a tremendous and valuable asset for people who are newly connected and may be having or may have a low level understanding of how to navigate the internet to address the issues that they're experiencing. So providing tech support is very much important. And next slide. Oops, you're on.
Thank you. We want to talk about this tool just a moment more, and we want to talk about it, how we use it as a metaphor. So the four-legged stool of digital inclusion is a misleadingly simple concept, identifying affordable broadband, internet services, the acquisition and distribution of devices, and provision of training and support as critical components of digital inclusion. And this indeed all adds up to meaningful impact when addressing the digital divide and taking real steps towards change. However, at its core, we know that digital inclusion is inherently a social justice issue and can only be fully addressed when we look more deeply at the historic inequities which have not only led us here, but which continue to support harmful and unjust practices in underserved communities. Next slide, please. So digital equity as defined by the National Digital Inclusion NDIA, the National Digital Inclusion Association, is a condition in which all individuals and communities have the information, technology, and capacity needed for full participation in our society, democracy, and economy. Digital equity is necessary for civic and cultural participation, employment, lifelong learning, and access to essential services. NDIA wants us to note here the use of equity versus equality. When we use the word equity, we accurately acknowledge the systemic barriers that must be dismantled before we can achieve equality for all persons. So we talk about the digital divide as being the issue. Digital inclusion is the work that we do and are doing, and achieving digital equity is the goal. The digital divide exacerbates other divides, creating further barriers to economic opportunities and mobility in under-resourced areas. Next slide, please. So we want to take a look at why this is, and we're going to kind of deep dive into mapping inequities and incorporating trauma healing practices in the work that we do that are critical to the work that we do because of these systemic inequities. Go ahead and skip to the next slide for me, please. So when we talk about patterns of digital inequality, we talk about income from 2010 to 2020, we've seen an uptake in internet usage and adoption, but there's still so much work to be done here, as we know that one of the most prominent barriers to connectivity is noted to be the cost of an internet subscription or that of acquiring a digital device. In addition to understanding that there are varying degrees of adoption and usage amongst families whose income levels have been measured, we also see patterns that still reflect the impact of lingering income inequality, which are tied to the level of education. For example, there's a lingering gap in digital use patterns between those with no high school diploma versus people with a high school diploma, between those with a high school diploma and those with a college degree, and between those with a college degree and those with some college education. We want to remember that digital inequality looks a lot like other forms of inequality that we see throughout society, especially in the United States. There is still a lingering racial inequality gap. People with disabilities are less likely to have access to and utilize digital tools. And we also see an age-related gap, though this gap is getting smaller. The idea that older adults are less likely to use digital technology, while digital natives definitely do, is the issue there. This is not the most prevalent pattern any longer, but it does still exist. It is important to note here that digital access doesn't just reflect patterns of social inequality, but it reinforces them. It is much harder to seek out a higher paying job or increase one's job skills through education if you do not have the skills or tools to research and access these things via the internet. So there's a bit of a chicken or egg problem here of trying to solve digital inequality in order to improve issues of social inequality, when in reality, the two are actually reinforcing one another. Finally, we'd like to point out that this is a systemic issue and not a personal failing. If a particular individual doesn't have the internet at home and feels tentative about using digital tools, this has everything to do with what kind of tools this person has had access to at formative periods in their life. So in serving a new learner, we want to look at what skills or tools have brought them this far in their life, and meet them then in that space in order to empower them in learning moving forward. Next slide, please. So ahead of the Affordable Connectivity Program and other governmental programs that have been put in place to improve broadband infrastructure, connectivity, and affordability, the FCC completed extensive broadband data collection, which resulted in the release of the Broadband Fabric Maps. These maps while critical, have had some posed some challenges for us in the work that we do as far as being accurate. The maps are intended to show a common data set of all residential and business locations in the US where fixed broadband internet services are available or can be installed. As with any large data collection process, there have been some inconsistencies discovered, and digital inclusion partners such as all of you and ourselves are working diligently with the FCC to get any and all inaccurate data corrected. The FCC is aware of the challenges here and they are seeking to fix it. But it has resulted in some service areas being shown as having certain coverage when that is not actually the case. This map informs the availability of additional funding to assist all of us in our work. So this infrastructure funding, the BEAD funding that's coming down the pipeline, super critical that we ensure that the accurate information is out there so that the areas that are in need of service get the service that they need. Additionally, it is well documented that the same internet services are not available in all areas, and that some areas may offer similar or same services, but at a higher cost. This leads us into the topic of redlining and the long-term damage that it has caused. The discriminatory practice of redlining stemmed from policies developed in the 1930s during the Roosevelt administration in order to reduce the number of home foreclosures during the Great Depression. These policies were then institutionalized in the establishment of the Federal Housing Association, which determined whether areas were deemed unfit for investment by all financial services companies. These areas were demarcated with red shading on maps, and other zones marked in green or blue were given preferential lending status. The redlined areas were arbitrarily chosen based upon their racial composition rather than known income levels. Banks used this practice to deny loans to homeowners and would-be homeowners who lived in these neighborhoods, resulting in serious economic decline. And through the act of discrimination in this manner, though the act of discrimination in this manner was outlawed in 1968, many of these areas remain systemically under-resourced to date. So the destructive legacy of redlining, segregation, and disinvestment in our communities has reduced minority wealth and perpetuated patterns of poverty. And the practice of digital redlining, which arose from this, can be traced following the same red lines today. Next slide, please. Digital redlining is perpetuating inequities in already marginalized groups, specifically around digital technology and its use, digital content, and internet access. It is a known fact that internet service providers invest more in infrastructure in financially prosperous neighborhoods, and lesser services are being provided in low-income, high-minority populations, sometimes at a higher cost. There is a rural bias where more money is being funneled towards investing in the build out of infrastructure in remote areas than is being invested in the improvement of already existing infrastructure in under-resourced urban areas. We are seeing redlining practices in advertising, where the same devices and services are not advertised to all populations equally. And as a result of the perpetuation of systemic and structural racism, a large majority of the clients whom we all serve are affected by the barriers of the digital divide and deep-seated generational trauma as well. Next slide, please.
And now we're going to
Oh, go ahead.
we're going to discuss one of our many direct service programs, SF Connected, which is a virtual program, and also has some incorporation of in-person training as well. Next slide. So before we continue, let's take a few moments, if you can, in the chat. If you can respond to how can remote programming services remove barriers to digital inclusivity? Love to learn what the responses are to that. And if you can respond in about, I'd say two sentences, 2 to 3 sentences. We'll just take about 1 minute. Jessica says remote services can be helpful for folks with disabilities. They can be invaluable. I totally agree. Carrie says removes the barrier for transportation costs. Oh, believe me, yes. Imagine having to go to the library or a technology lab just to message a provider or a friend, a family member, or even just to maintain engagement with your local community. If you could do that all in the safety and comfort of your own home, why not? That's why we want to make sure that people get online and connected in their home or residence. Gwendolyn says helping stay connected and mental health stability. Yes, telehealth services are essential, especially if you don't have to travel to receive those services. Can be useful to those who do not have transportation options, particularly those who live in rural areas. Ariana, I could not agree more. And removes the barrier of concerns about personal appearance and social fluency. Carrie, you are spot on the money. Well, let's take 2 more. By offering the opportunity for deeper community connection by meeting people where they are. And Judy says removes the barriers by creating isolation and loneliness. The negative impacts of social isolation are, we've experienced many of those scenarios with those that we support, and we cannot stress how impactful not only providing a person with devices and supporting getting connected online, how much that has changed their life. And if we can go to the next slide, please. Bear with me real quick. I have a fire truck right behind me. So our SF Digital Connections, which is funded by the Department of Disability and Aging Services, is one of our newest programs, that provides not only internet-capable devices, which is an iPad Generation 9 device to marginalized community members throughout the city of San Francisco. It also provides one-to-one remote training either with an instructor or with a tutor, which is also a digital coach or digital navigator. The digital navigator can also support with tech support. Imagine if you're a first-time user of a device and you don't know how to operate it, you just quickly become overwhelmed on how to immediately get online and connected to access your content. So we make sure that people understand that this service is available. They can message us or they can call us, us being our instructors or even staff, to make sure that they're connected to those essential resources. And we also provide low-cost internet connectivity and ACP, Affordable Connectivity Program, application assistance. Again, being online and connected to essential services is paramount. So making sure that people understand the intricacies of the application process and making sure that they understand how to minimize or reduce the cost of their bill by applying to the Affordable Connectivity Program is one of our many tasks that we accomplish daily. And we also provide tutoring. So if a person wants to learn on how to not only navigate their device, but also access the internet safely, we provide tutoring support that can either be one-to-one or even in a group format. And we provide those types of trainings either in person at local senior centers and technology labs throughout the city, but we also provide these services online via group Q&A sessions, which we've been hosting for roughly 3 years now, and they've been not only growing, but growing in size, but the questions have also evolved from how do I just basically navigate my device to, oh, how can I edit this photo so I can upload it to my YouTube channel? Learners are gradually learning more and more, and they're wanting to learn how to expand their knowledge of accessing essential services and online software applications to make sure that they can maintain engagement with their fellow community members in essential services. And I'll pass it to Sky to explain Digital Lift.
Sure. So with our SF Digital Connections partners, we are offering our Lift Navigators training as far as the capacity building services. This training package includes the Digital Navigators Overview product, Advanced Digital Navigators Training, which is the Train the Trainer product, a shadowing session where enrollees will get to witness one-on-one virtual sessions in process and learn from that. And then we also include our ACP overview product, which is a high-level overview of the Affordable Connectivity Program and all of its benefits, the benefits of enrollment. And our Lift Navigators Community Forum, we offer enrollment in that as well for every participant in Lift product training. We also offer full wraparound services, a 90-minute workshop and debrief where we discuss on a high level the practical application of all of the content that you've just reviewed. And we answer any questions that may remain for participants, go over real world scenarios, so on and so forth. We provide a very robust resource package that is regionally specific to the area that you're in, so that you can continue to utilize that moving forward. And we provide access to one complementary curriculum from our already existing curriculum library.
Sky. And to add, our training, again, is provided in multiple languages. Specifically for our Digital Connections program, we provide training in not just English, but also Spanish, Chinese, specifically Cantonese and Mandarin, Russian, and Tagalog. All of our instructors are bilingual, ensuring that those that they're supporting are optimally connected to the training that they need to receive in order to get connected online and to their fellow community members. And next slide. So our initial program, our first virtual program, Home Connect, was created in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. If you can recall way back in 2020 or 2019, whenever everything was shutting down, people were not able to get online and connected because the library was closed. Coffee shops were closed. People who were without internet access were just left on an island, if you will. So the Home Connect program was created to make sure that people were able to not only get connected online in the safety and comfort of their home or residence, but also to receive training, also to be provided with tech support, as well as internet connectivity application assistance. And all in all, and throughout the years 2020 to 2022, we provided or enrolled over 1,000 people into this program. Of those 1,000 people, 900 received an internet-capable device. It was a Samsung tablet. And along with that tablet, most importantly, came training. Each person who enrolled received 5 one-hour lessons of virtual training with an instructor in their preferred language. And we provided over 5,500 hours of training, as well as connected dozens of people to low-cost internet services and the Affordable Connectivity Program. As you can see on your screen, when people enrolled or when people completed the program, people were more likely to participate in classes and community activities. They were more able to feel connected to their friends, family, and loved ones. And they were also able to have more access to health information. The impact of virtual training and training in general for digital devices is paramount to making sure that people maintain engagement and reduce the negative impacts of social isolation. And next slide. So what are key necessities to launch a virtual program? So in order to launch a virtual program, you need to make sure that that program is fit best for the community you intend to support. Making sure that the program is able to optimally address the needs of that specific community by ensuring that the training is provided in the language of that community, as well as ensuring that people who want to participate in your program are able to do so easily, meaning that they have multiple areas or ways that they can connect with their instructor, whether it be via phone, via email, or even just walking down and seeing if they're able to receive any training, which we have implemented with our digital coaching program. And it's also important to ensure the longevity of your program by connecting data, making sure that you collect survey data before training, before a person receives training, after, which we do about 3 months after a person graduates from their 5 one-hour training lessons. And we also conduct a 6-month follow-up survey. Being able to track, record, and share that information with a funder can ensure that you receive additional funding to continue and expand your program. And next slide, please. Oh, so community support is number one, and thank you, Carrie. And it's also important that the content of your services are provided in the language of your target community. And it's also important for leadership staff to reflect the demographics of your target community. I cannot stress this enough, how, just to be frank, awkward it can be for an agency of one demographic supporting a marginalized community that has been just in need to get online and connected, and they just don't have a special connection with that agency. So it's important to make sure that your leadership team, and not only just the leadership team, but also the direct staff, are positioned and are well positioned to support your community. And it's also important to implement non-invasive practices to capture the experience and testimonials of program participants. What we have implemented is, once a person graduates from the program, it's the instructor, the person that they've been working with day in and day out over the course of their learning, to capture those stories and share it with our team and also our funder, so that those stories get shared across multiple facets to ensure that you encourage people who are not familiar with your program to learn more and possibly participate. And next slide.
Okay, so I'm going to ask y'all to bear with me because I realize that in looking at my screen separately from the presentation, I got ahead of myself earlier. So I'm going to ask Becca to take us back to slide 13 for a moment, just so that we can touch on this before we dive into, what capacity building is. I do want to talk about how we build capacity from a trauma healing space. In instilling trauma healing practices. So when we look to build capacity in areas that have been historically under-resourced, systemically underserved,
Can you show me, can I scroll back and you tell me when I get to the right slide?
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry.
I
Yes.
apologize. I just can't see the slide number when it's shared.
Of course. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Look, no, look, there you go.
Okay.
There you go. Ding, ding, ding. Thank you so much. I'm sorry to cause confusion. So I'll get to this quote in just a moment, but I saw this gentleman speak last week and this moved me to the core. So that is why I am sharing it. And that's why I wanted to go back to this slide. I didn't want to miss out on sharing this with you guys. So we want to make sure, if we intend to provide inclusive service delivery, we want to be sure that we understand the unique and critical needs of the communities that we're serving. And we want to be sure that we're meeting those needs specifically and not what we perceive the need to be. So in order to do so, we must apply a few important trauma-informed approaches into our daily practice. Are we maintaining a safe space for engagement? Are we engaging in a trustworthy and transparent manner? Are we offering our support in a collaborative and mutually agreed upon manner? And lastly, are we empowering our clients by hearing their stories and honoring their choices? So I recently attended a session on reimagining behavioral health, race, equity, and social justice. The presenter was Dr. Benjamin Danielson, and he said, "The bridge between harm and hope is dignity." And that resounded with me so much, so deeply. He followed this up by saying that there is no equity without dignity. So when we are working with clients who have sustained systemic harm, injustice, and indignities, we need to learn to take a relational position with them rather than a transactional position. And this is where the healing can begin. What does it look like to apply these approaches in regards to capacity building? We do this by meeting every partner where they are. We perform diagnostic needs assessment. We research the resources that are already available to the community. We learn who our partners are that are boots on the ground, that have the lived experiences, which will inform our planning and outreach. And we work together with those partners to empower them to develop, implement, and sustain digital inclusion service in their daily practice. When we meet organizations where they are, we work with resident experts, we listen, we learn, we cultivate trust, and we offer our partners the resources and support that they need. We move from a space of responding to trauma to a space of being a trauma healing service provider. And that is right where we want to be. So, now we'll dive into defining capacity building as the process of developing and strengthening the skills, instincts, abilities, processes, and resources that organizations and communities need to survive, adapt, and thrive in this ever-changing world that we live in. This is an investment into the effectiveness and future sustainability of nonprofit organizations. Here at Community Tech Network, we approach capacity building in a very holistic manner, providing the end-to-end wraparound services that I spoke to earlier. We start with a needs assessment. We then guide the agency to design their most appropriate program, which meets their specific needs, partnering with those agencies as they implement their programming. And finally, we support our partner organizations by monitoring their progress and connecting them to the ongoing resources needed to sustain their programming. Throughout our 15 years in service, we have strengthened our capacity building programs. And when pandemic hit, we, like everyone else, had to pivot. We moved from a mostly in-person direct service training model to create solid asynchronous capacity building training opportunities so that we could assist our partners who were struggling with the same challenges we were when it came to providing direct service delivery. Next slide, please.
Just saying that we have 15 minutes remaining.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to hustle up. So in 2022, we began offering this new model of train the trainer training called the Digital Lift Program. In its inaugural year, we were successful in serving 14 agencies in 5 states and training 149 agency leaders. To date, we have trained 285 agency leaders and we've served 35 partner agencies. So we're thrilled about this. All Digital Lift products are delivered asynchronously to partner agency staff and volunteers via a branded learning management system. Agencies are given a generous timeline of 2 to 3 weeks to complete their online training and are then invited to the live virtual 1.5-hour workshop debrief at the close of each cohort. They are provided with a multitude of critical resources, as I mentioned, enrollment in the community forums, and full wraparound support from CTN and specifically the Digital Lift team. Our Digital Lift Toolkit consists of these 6 training programs currently that you see on the screen. And we are very pleased to announce that we will soon be releasing a Lift Wellness module as well. So navigator training for healthcare providers. Lastly, we offer a library of curricular options, which can be licensed for use by any organization or agency, and we can and will develop any curriculum for you which meets your agency's specific programmatic needs, inclusive of adapting that to any language or device need. I want to jump ahead to introducing a special guest that we have with us here today, Ariana Santana, from an organization called Puente in San Mateo County, California. And she is here to share a little bit about our engagement and our partnership and how that has helped Puente to thrive, or continue to thrive, I should say. Ariana?
Hi everyone, good morning. So I'm just gonna give a little bit of background of Puente and a little bit of how it's we implement our program and all that jazz. So hi everyone, my name is Ariana Santana and I am Puente de la Costa Sud's digital navigator. So we primarily serve farm workers, low-income households, and we have 4 service areas that we serve, which are Pescadero, Loma Mar, San Gregorio, and La Honda, all of which are in unincorporated areas in San Mateo County. So before Puente implemented the digital navigation program, Puente's community health department was already partnered with Community Tech Network, and they were providing our 60+ community with tablets and training. And I believe that is still something that is going on at this very moment. And I was hired, and that's when we implemented the digital navigation program back in July. And ever since then, I have primarily been helping the community sign up for ACP, learn how to use their everyday devices, such as their phones, tablets, computers. A lot of our participants are monolingual speakers, so I've been helping them a lot with downloading apps such as Google Translate that they can use when they communicate with an employer, get the text in English, translate it in Spanish, respond back, vice versa. And also a lot of them come in as single farm workers, just specifically talking about farm workers. A lot of them are single farm workers, so they leave their families behind. So also been helping them with downloading applications that can help them do money transfer to their families. And just trying to help them learn their devices that they use every day, and also downloading helpful applications that can help their lives make their lives easier. CTN was extremely helpful in this process because when I first took on this role, the term digital navigator was really, really new to me. But in retrospect, a lot of what I'm doing now is actually something that I have been doing for many years. I'm a first generation, so my family or my parents are not very knowledgeable in English. So I remember a lot of what I'm doing at work is what I did with them was helping them how to you download these apps that can help you when I'm not here to respond back, making their screen the lettering a little bit bigger, helping them with sound. All these things that I'm basically doing now is what I did with them. But I was not aware of all of these different terms and all of these disadvantages that our communities face. So I learned a lot about a different terms such as a digital divide, digital equity, and how the effects that the digital divide can have on our communities. I also learned a lot about these great programs that are available to our communities, such as Lifeline or ACP. And even now that we're doing a lot of outreach about ACP and Lifeline we know a lot of our community can qualify for, it's still, I meet people like every week that are like, I had no idea about this program. Like, I'm so glad that we know about it. So that has been really helpful. I also found it really helpful when we got that course about the recording of a live training of someone from CTN doing a training with an older adult, because I have seen that. So I help people. We don't have an age gap, so we do like older adults, we also do teenagers, we also do middle-aged adults, and there is a really big difference about how you will teach a middle-aged adult and how you're going to teach a 60 plus or a senior. Obviously with the senior, you do have to go a little bit slower. I do have a participant who I have training with him every Wednesday for his tablet, Apple tablet. And a lot of it is a lot of repetition, which is totally fine. But then when a middle-aged adult that I do an Android tablet, it's a lot faster process. So that recording that I got during my training in the digital lift was really helpful because I did learn a lot of tips that I can use for seniors, and also I can use for middle-aged adults. But the partnership that Puente has developed with CTN, also the Half Moon Bay Library and Coastside Hope, which is another nonprofit organization here in the Coastside, has been really beneficial. We have been able to exchange many resources and knowledge, and there has been a lot of willingness between all parties to help one another and figure out ways in which we can all work together to build that digital divide that we see in the coastal communities. Regarding ACP, I also did the Lift ACP with CTN. You know, the application for ACP can be really smooth, or it can be a really difficult process. A lot of our participants, because we are in such a rural area, a lot of our participants are very limited to the service providers that they can get and participate in ACP. Also, a lot of them, again, because we're so rural, don't have like a physical address. They have to do like a PO box. So during that Lift ACP training, I learned a lot of tips, and that I still go back to regarding the ACP, because again, some of them, the process is really smooth. They have a physical address, their service provider participates in this program, or some of them don't have a physical address, or yeah, so that has also been really difficult in the process. But again, now that I'm able to go back to this training, that has been able to guide me through this process. But yeah, partnership has been a huge big help during this process. Again, CTN, Half Moon Bay Library, the Coastside Hope. Right now we're working with the Half Moon Bay Library to inform the community about all the different resources that the community that the library also has for them, such as hotspots that the community can check out and use. And we're trying to negotiate and see if there's a way that we can extend the due date, because I believe participants have to return the hotspots in 3 weeks. But we're trying to see if we can extend that, and if we can make it where participants can check out or return the hotspots to us and not necessarily have to drive all the way to Half Moon Bay, which we're just trying to make it easier for participants and not make it like a discouraging process. So yeah, CTN has been extremely helpful. Half Moon Bay Library, Coastside Hope. This partnership has made my job very enjoyable, and it's nice to work with organizations and have that partnership where you can rely on them and help you during this process. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Ariana. May I ask, and hopefully I'm not putting you on the spot here, do you know about how many people Puente serves in a year? So what is your reach as far as?
Yeah, so again, we just implemented the program in July, and we did full blast advertising on our social medias, but it's a lot more for us. Again, we're so rural. Our biggest way of to reaching people is actually going out and doing in-person outreach. So we've been going a lot to the farms and doing the outreach, or we have like two restaurants in our town, so just tabling at these places and informing the community. So the process for us has been a little bit slow in informing the community, but so far I would say that I have submitted 5 successful ACP applications, and I think I've helped 10 unique participants. And like I said, one of them has an on-standing appointment with me every Wednesday to do the tablets. So he has 2 tablets. So I've been helping him with those 2 tablets. But yeah, so we're actually having an event on Saturday for Digital Inclusion Week. And we're hoping that here we can really reach a lot of our community, because again, every week I meet people that have no idea about ACP or Lifeline or the trainings that we're doing. So we're really hoping that with this event, we can have a huge outreach to our community.
Thank you so much for sharing with us today and for being here today. And we're so proud to partner with you, and really inspired by the work that you do. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And pardon if I spoke really fast.
That's okay. We have just a few minutes left here, and we want to get to the good stuff. So we also want to leave time for questions if anybody has any. But I have a handy dandy little random drawing tool on my phone pulled up, and I've got all of y'all's names placed into it. And so this is the fun part. We're actually going to give 2 of you a complimentary enrollment into the digital Lyft product of your choice, as far as Lyft navigators or Lyft trainers. So the differences there. So navigators obviously being that kind of more prone to one-on-one individual sessions. They may help with any number of needs on any number of devices, any age group, that kind of thing. And trainers being if your agency is more prone to classroom training or workshops, providing services like that, then you may be more interested in participating in the Lyft Trainers program. So I'm going to go ahead and do the random drawing here, and I'll show you. Oh, you're not gonna be able to see it, darn it. This is this silly filter, but okay, it's really kind of fun. So here we go. And we'd like to open it up for questions while I'm doing the drawing, and then we'll announce our winners and get your information before we sign off. Are there any questions from anyone?
Hi, yes, this is Jessica from Foundation Communities in Austin, Texas. I have a question for you. I know, I love it. I love it. I didn't want to say that this morning because there was a major car accident, and I was on the road, sat for 3 hours. I'm like, it feels like California.
Oh,
So I have a quick question. So I've done some homework, and I've looked at your site with regard to resources and some quotes from some of your partners. I don't know if I see a partner page, but do you partner? Because I see a lot of things in and around California area, and I thought, because we can all help out each other regardless of the state. But do you partner with anyone outside of your state? I wasn't sure.
Cami and I, so our founder and myself, so 2 members of the executive leadership team, are located here in Texas, and we very happily work inside of the state of Texas. And we do proudly boast national reach as an agency. So we have worked in 5 states so far, and we're very eager to expand our business. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And Jessica, you are the lucky first winner, Jessica Gonzalez. So ironically, and then our second winner is, and I apologize if I'm not pronouncing this correctly, but is it Hung?
I go by Hang.
Hang, I'm so sorry. Thank you for correcting me. And I say, what the heck? We're gonna do one more drawing. Any other questions while we do this? And we're wrapping up. Our third winner is Gwendolyn. Is she still on the call? Oh, well, we'll have to reach out to her. Okay. She was here the whole time. Any other questions before we wrap up today?
Just a brief question. This has been great. Kind of assumed, but I just wanted to make sure. Would it be possible to get a copy of the slides after the presentation?
Absolutely, Chair Pitts. We will be sending out the recordings and we'll adapt the slides as well. So we'll be giving everybody access to the materials from today in the next few days.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you for being here today.
My pleasure.
All right.
Any additional questions? Or is yours?
I have one more quick question. I do see the remaining sessions for the day, and are there going to be other presenters at those, or is this the same? I'm just kind of curious. Or is it the same body? Not that it really matters. I mean, it doesn't matter. I was just kind of curious.
No, there are separate presenters for
Got
every
it.
session. Yeah,
Okay,
and a
perfect.
couple of sessions will be multilingual as well. So, yep. All right, well, we've got
Thank
to
you.
jump off and get to the next session here, but we thank you all for being here today. It's been wonderful seeing all of you, and let us know if we can assist or partner with you in the future. Thank you, everyone.